2 videos now, and I've edited. You can edit a video on Linux. You can edit a video whilst you're rendering. And there's 2, 1, the render that one. It'll queue up the renders, and you can be editing the 3rd one. So, and we're making the 3rd one now, and so we have to get through these videos today because there's plenty of work to do tomorrow. The solar panels are arriving. I've ordered another big 100-watt solar panel, so that I've got a solar panel on this boat when I bring it down from North Wales, not North Wales, from Scotland, the Highlands of Scotland. So I did actually have the idea to put 3 solar panels on Sara in the big battery bank, so we'll see how we go with this, where the solar panels end up, but you definitely need 2 solar panels, 1 on each boat, because the batteries need to be kept going, because otherwise they die on you. It's very important. In this next video you'll see I start working on the electrical system, checking it out and making sure that my iPad is mounted nicely, and I find some innovative solutions actually for the iPad and Navionics thing. Yeah, so without any further ado, here we go. Well, we're doing a little bit of testing at the moment. We've got the iPhone, which is running connected over there, and that's the one that's got the card in it and is connected to the internet. And down here we've got the main navigation station. Now this can be moved from outside to inside, so this is in its navigation table position here, and you can adjust that quite easily as you want, but it has to have, to get the windy on this like this, it has to have, or to download maps or anything, it has to have the internet connection. So it has to have the Wi-Fi running on both of these objects, that one there and that one, both Wi-Fi running with a hotspot, that phone being the hotspot. And so I'm just testing. It's a good day to test today because it's an overcast day, typical English overcast day, and we're currently depleting the battery, so I can't see how many amps I'm using, but I can see here that the battery level is dropping with the solar panel running. So normally this little icon here flashes if it's on float, which it's not. So what I'm doing at the moment is seeing how we get on running on with the Wi-Fi running. We don't have to have the Wi-Fi running or the 2 connected to have it the other way around, which is to have Navionics on the main one and windy on the other one. So we're going to try that and see how things look. Right, we've now got windy on the one and Navionics on the other with no Wi-Fi, not needing the internet apart from the phone, which is operating under its mobile data, so it doesn't need the Wi-Fi. And it's important to turn the Wi-Fi off, because if you have the Wi-Fi on, it just uses power continuously, and so we're going to have to monitor what happens with the battery. But it looks like the battery may well have, yeah, it's still charging as fast as it can. So what I'll do is I'll see how it runs today, and if it continues like this, I'll turn one of them off and just monitor it a little bit. This is quite nice to be able to sit here, and you've got, sorry about the movement, you've got this arrangement here. It can tilt, swivel around here so that you can see where you need to have it, and then you can also tilt it. If I loosen this one here, it tilts sideways, forward and back and so on. I'm not going to do it because it'll fall on the floor. Yeah, it seems to be working well. So I hadn't actually planned to mount this on the table, and it's good that I did this. I hadn't mounted it on the outside for some reason, and the way I was going to mount on the outside, I was going to hard screw in the bolt that's in this object here, so it was permanently attached in there. Now if I do that, I can't move it in here, and it's a special thread on this, not a normal bolt. And so now I've got a spanner handy over here, the spanner here, that I can just simply undo it here. Now I know that I need to put a proper size hole in the other, so it's easy just to put it in and then to bolt it up, so it can be moved from outside to inside depending on where you're navigating from. So everything's for a reason, and because I didn't get carried away and feeling like mounting this, I was able to mount it in the right order correctly when the time comes. And I also had some moments of this, as my foot is damaged here, to show that this needs to be, you can't have anything on the edge here. And I might have put this too far to the edge here. If I hadn't had that accident, I would have just picked the nicest spot to have it. But because the table can move, I can have this over the other side or on this side. I can have it in a number of positions. So this position is good, you know, if you're navigating or if you're just watching YouTube videos over in the other position. If you can afford the battery and can afford the internet access. Okay, well, another job is moving on, and we seem to have the wires are all working. It's interesting you find out little things, very small things, like for example, I cannot touch this switch over here, so I need to make some hole in here to be able to turn the screen off and on. Just one of those things. And with the screen running, it's going to be using more power, of course. Okay, well, time for a cup of coffee. Well, now with the screens all turned off, you can see that the battery voltage has actually crept up. It's still charging, so there's still, the battery's still not fully charged, and we've got 13.3 volts on the panel, and we've got 13.1 volts on the battery. 13.2 here, the other one says 13.1, which is probably more accurate than the other one. So we just have to wait and see, but it looks like the battery's actually charged somewhat, so it looks like it's recovered and is more than coping with the two objects without the screens on. So let's see what happens when it's fully charged. Well, I just realised it's not that good a test, because at the same time as it's been operating, it's also been charging both batteries, and so at the moment the screens are off, probably the processor's turned itself down, and it's charging nicely. The battery's fully charged now, but the actual, both iPhones are still charging, so this one's 66%, the other one's 98%. So when they both reach 100%, what I'll do is I'll start turning things on again and have a look and see what we've got reading. But at the moment it looks like the battery is full, and the current that's coming from the solar panel is being used to charge the iPad. Yeah. Okay, only a few seconds later and we're now running. You'll see that it's flashing to show that everything's fully charged, and it's just running on float. So it's only a float charge going into the battery. Now let's have a look here and see what's going on here. Yeah, we've got 67%, and so it's charging even though there's only a float charge going into the battery. It's also managing to keep these devices charged up, also charging these devices. This is good. We've got personal hotspot and Wi-Fi on the phone, and we've still got no problem here. We're handling everything good. Hasn't dropped out of float. So now we're doing the same on here. We go Wi-Fi on. There's Adam's iPhone. It's connected. Okay. We should be able to see Windy now. Where's Windy? Should be able to see Windy. Online again. Click here to reload app. Okay. There's Windy running. So everything's running. I've got the screen turned down quite a bit. Could be brighter if it's outside. And we're still on float, but you'll notice the panel voltage is about 19, so it's a bit brighter than it was. So here we go, and it's still charging 68%. Still charging here, so it's hard to say whether it would be taking power for charging and for running, or whether it would run from its battery while it's still at battery life. I would say it will charge and run from the main from the wire here, from the ship power. Okay, well, it seems to be a lot better than it was this morning. Maybe it was still recovering this morning from using the electricity overnight and hadn't actually fully charged its battery yet. I don't know. I did a bit of drilling as well. You just have to keep an eye on it, but it's good to test it now and not be messing around with this out at sea when you need it. You need to know what's going on. You need to be able to see what's normal, what's not normal, just in case some abnormal situation arises. You see how I've turned it. I had all the screens set to full screen. Now it's turning itself off, this one. So if you don't use it, it's conserving its power. It doesn't just sit there all the time, and all you need to do is just push the button. And here you go. The 50 pound iPad, eh? Isn't it great? Probably the best £50 I ever spent in my life. Or maybe it was the £50 that I bought that phone with. That's just been absolutely magnificent, that phone. What the bargains you can get if you're prepared to live with non-fashionable technology. Well, I thought I'd give you a little look at myself, and so it's not just pictures of the boat and you haven't got any of me talking in it. So at the moment I'm not feeling like doing anything except mess around in the boat, and probably the reason for that is because now is the ideal time with the overcast sky to be doing this kind of work at this particular time of day, to really get to the bottom of all this. And the weather's a little bit unsettled. There's another yacht, they're pulling another yacht in or out, I don't know. There's always something going on over here. I met a nice young man who has a boat on the other side, and he was telling me how he bought the boat just before lockdown and then was prevented the whole of lockdown for 2 years virtually. He couldn't get in here to actually work on his boat, and so he had to pay £80 a month just to have his boat here. Every month he had to pay this, waiting for the chance to actually get this boat going on the water. So he's had to pay 2 years of this. He's only just now come to work on the boat. So there are many disgruntled people who have had bad experiences with this lockdown stuff. And we're all coming together here now. There's a big one coming in here, a great big crane coming past here. What have we got? What's the name of this boat? Charka 3, Charka. Oh, I was expecting the name to be on the front, but it wasn't. Charka 3 by the looks of things. For sale. A lot of people have boats, you know, they're always for sale. Everything they own is for sale. You know, they're all trying to make a profit out of somebody else. Making a profit is like wanting to make money for nothing. So this whole idea of profit is a fake idea, really. And it encourages people to stop, not work, not create, but find smart ways to make money without doing anything, which is really anti-human, really. It's against the community. These are actual criminals, really, who operate like this, who don't actually create anything. Just want to do stuff, the minimum of effort for the maximum amount of profit. Now, I know what this is all about because I've done it, a little bit of that myself. I used to sell computers, and I said I wasn't going to deal with a computer unless it was £500, it wasn't pounds, it was another currency at the time, in it for me. So it didn't matter how much a computer, if a person bought a £2,000 computer or a £5,000 computer, I wanted to make £500 out of it, to even be involved with the deal, you know, to get the equipment, provide it for it, install it, and look after it for the terms of the warranty. And you know, it's probably a bit excessive. Wanted to make 500. And I remember one month I did 10 of these computers and I just made loads and loads of money. And it was like money for nothing, you know. But if I only did one a month or two a month, I was only just surviving. And so it's criminal really to create a system whereby you're only just scraping by if you're not doing volume. But if you're doing volume, you're like making megabucks like Elon Musk. So the tendency is for people just to want to monopolise, to take over entire industries so they can do the biggest volume, and volume is money. And now we've got the real estate industry like this. They just want to own every property. BlackRock. It's a shame really that man isn't thinking, well, how can he create? You know, what I've been doing today, which is putting what you've seen, these systems in place on this little boat. These are here forever. Now, what a lot of people do, these fly-by-night artists, they'll do what I'm doing here, and then when they come to sell the boat, they'll steal all the bits and pieces, they'll unbolt it all and they'll take it all away, you know, clean out the lockers, take the ropes, you know, say, well, I might be able to use that on my next boat or something like that. And all it does is it just undoes so much work, and it's so much better just to let it all go, you know, let the iPad, the iPhone, let them all go. And then on the next boat, get new ones. You know, maybe you need different systems on that boat. I don't know. But if they're all going there, all the cables are the right length and everything, it's all a system. And it's all a huge amount of time and effort and creative activity. And when I sell this boat, I'm going to sell every single thing in it, all as a package. And I'm going to want a good price. I'm going to want about 5,000 for this boat when it's finished, because that's basically what it's worth. The amount of time and effort and the money I've spent on the bits and pieces necessary. And you know, I said, you know what I'm talking about. So somebody's going to get a good boat one day, and I know I'm going to sell this boat because one day I'll be ready for a bigger boat. This boat is a good boat for people who are at my level in sailing. But once I've finished learning what I need to learn and done my work making this boat good, then I'll be looking for my next boat, and my next boat will be big enough for me and my lady to comfortably be in. This one, when my lady gets in here, it will be very, very difficult to organise for two people. It'll have to be perfectly organised, and it will be by the time I'm finished. You could sit now, right as we sit in here, two people here, me here and one here. You couldn't do that before. There was no comfortable seat. The seat was too high, and the way it is now, you could sit, you could have a cup of coffee. There's a table there. You could both use that little table, and you can be monitoring everything at the same time with the instrumentation, and everything's in place in your hand. But what you can't do is bring a big suitcase in, or bring loads of clothes or lots of devices. You have to limit yourself to just a single change of clothes, really, and just one of everything. Just a warm coat, 2 shirts, 2 pairs of pants, 2 pairs of socks. That's it. And it's necessary to have that mindset in a small boat like this. Even in big boats it can get difficult. If you've got fishing gear, you've got to have space for this. You've got to have space for all the things that you need. And I'm getting used to it now. I know where my tools are, so most of my storage space is dedicated to tools and fixing stuff. That's got the pride of place in the kitchen area here, and the food storage locker is small compared to that area of tool storage and bits and pieces, screws and that, because you want to know where that is. You want it to be organised, and you need to be able to get at anything quicker. If you need your drill, you need to drill. You need to be able to plug in and go. And if you need a screw or a bolt or whatever, you need to know where it is and quickly to be able to deal with whatever's going down. And so to get the boat so that everything's in the right place, this is very important. To do it on the land now, whilst I'm using it, use it, make sure it's all okay, and then clear out the excess. And after clearing out all what you don't need to work building the boat, then you're going to have a lot more space left over to put any excess like that your lady might happen to bring forward with her. So at the moment the sail storage is a bit of a problem. The toilet, I can live without a toilet, but my lady probably can't, and so I haven't touched the toilet. The sails are in there, but once I get rid of everything, once it's all done, I think the sails will probably go underneath the bed here, and of course most of the sails are on the boat, but you need to have a place to put them. If you need to take the sail down, you need somewhere to stow it. And so I'm going to have to make the boat so that everything's stowable and still got room in here, that you haven't got sails in the way, so that you open the door to the toilet and you can't get in there because there's a sail sitting on top of it. So all these things need thinking about, and this is what's coming next, I think, to sort out all those areas, get them open, because this area here now is pretty well complete, apart from a bit of varnishing. I'm still waiting for some stain, which I should now go and check to see if it's arrived. Okay, I will do that.